All right, let's dive into this memory thing.
Yeah, sounds good.
We've got these excerpts from Moonwalking with Einstein by Joshua Foer, right?
Right.
And honestly, it's pretty wild stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Like competitive memory.
Yeah.
People memorizing decks of cards in seconds, entire poems.
It's amazing what they can do.
It really is.
What I find really fascinating is that Ferrer, he doesn't just observe these memory champions,
Yeah.
He actually trains with them, like really gets in there
Wow.
to see if anyone can learn these techniques.
So it's not just like some, I don't know, genetic superpower?
Nope, not at all.
Anyone can do it.
That's what he finds out.
Okay, that's pretty encouraging, actually.
It is.
But hold on. What about this whole photographic memory thing?
Oh,
Is
yeah.
that real or?
Well, the book tackles that head on.
Okay.
Ed Cook, one of the memory grandmasters for interviews, he calls it a myth.
Really?
Straight up says photographic memory doesn't exist. He insists that everyone, including himself, has just an average memory at its core.
Okay, so if photographic memory is fake, how are these people doing these unbelievable things with their memory?
That's the big question.
Right.
And one of the key answers is this ancient technique called the memory palace.
Memory palace. That sounds
That's all right.
kind of mystical.
It is.
I just thought.
Basically, it involves using vivid imagery and locations to store information.
Like what? Give me an example.
So imagine you need to remember a grocery list.
Okay. Yeah, that's usually a struggle.
Instead of writing it down, you could picture each item in a specific location in your house. Maybe a giant loaf of bread blocking your front door, a carton of milk spilling on your couch.
So the weirder, the better.
Exactly. The more bizarre and multisensory the image, the more likely you are to remember it.
Okay, I can kind of see how that might work. But honestly,
What?
I forget where I put my keys like 5 times a day.
Uh-huh. Yeah, we've all been there.
So is this memory palace stuff really for regular people like me?
Absolutely. Think about it.
Yeah.
You probably have no trouble navigating your own home, right?
True.
That's because our brains are naturally good at spatial memory.
Okay.
The memory palace technique just leverages that.
Interesting. So it's not about creating some magical new ability. It's about using what we already have.
Exactly.
But what about those people who memorize hundreds of digits or historical facts? Is that all just memory palaces?
It's a big part of it.
Okay.
But the book also talks about chunking.
Chunking.
Yeah, like grouping information into smaller, manageable units.
So instead of trying to remember one giant string of numbers, you break it down.
Exactly.
Like how we remember phone numbers, right?
Exactly. We don't remember them as one long string, but in groups of 3 or 4 digits.
Okay, so even these crazy memory feats are built on making things, well, less crazy.
Yeah, breaking it down into smaller pieces.
Something we can all do.
Right, that's the point.
So it's not that these memory champions have, like, different brains.
No, not really.
It's that they've learned to use their brains differently.
More effectively, yeah.
Okay, that's kind of a relief, actually. I always thought I was just stuck with my forgetful brain.
Nope. The book really challenges that notion.
It does.
Yeah, it suggests that we all have the potential to improve our memory, whether we want to become champions or just remember where we put our keys.
All right, so there's hope for me yet.
Definitely.
But the book isn't just about techniques, right?
Right.
It also dives into the actual science of memory.
Oh, yeah, it gets into the neuroscience.
Cool. What does it say about that?
Well, it focuses a lot on the hippocampus.
The hippocampus.
Yeah, you know that seahorse-shaped structure in the brain?
Oh, right, yeah.
It's crucial for forming long-term memories.
Okay, I vaguely remember that from, like, high school biology.
Uh-huh. Well, the book brings it to life
How so?
by using this really powerful real-life example.
Yeah.
The case of EP, a man who can't form new memories.
What? How is that possible?
He has damage to his hippocampus.
Wow, that must be... I can't even imagine.
It's pretty profound.
So what's his life like?
Well, he can remember things from his past,
Okay.
but anything new, it just fades away.
Like what? He can't remember what he had for breakfast
Nope.
or people he meets.
It's all gone.
That's heartbreaking. And honestly, it makes you realize, you know how we complain about forgetting little things?
Yeah,
Imagine not being able to form any new memories at all.
that's EP's reality.
Wow. So his case really shows just how important the hippocampus is.
Absolutely.
It's not just about remembering facts. It's about, like, our whole sense of self.
Our identity, our connection to the world around us, yeah.
Right. You know, it's funny. The book also talks about infantile amnesia.
Yeah.
which is kind of the opposite, right?
In a way, yeah.
We can't remember anything from when we were really little.
Most of us, anyway.
But it's interesting to think about both EP and infantile amnesia.
Why is that?
Well, it shows that even normal memory is this complex process.
Cool.
Our brains develop over time, and so does our memory.
It's not just a simple on-off switch.
Exactly.
And it makes you appreciate just how intricate this whole system is.
Okay, so we've talked about the brain, but what about the historical side of things?
Oh, yes.
How did people approach memory before we knew about the hippocampus and all that?
That's where the book takes us on a fascinating journey through the history of mnemonics.
Mnemonics,
Yeah.
like ROYGBV to remember the colors of the rainbow.
Exactly.
Or, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally for the order of operations in math.
Yeah, those are simple examples.
Right.
But the book goes way deeper.
Oh.
It shows how mnemonics were essential in oral cultures.
Because they didn't have writing.
Exactly.
So they had to rely on these techniques to pass knowledge down through generations.
Precisely.
Like those ancient Greek poets who recited epic poems from memory.
Yeah, think about the Odyssey and the Iliad.
Wow, that's incredible.
It is.
But they weren't just relying on raw talent, right?
Nope. They used mnemonic principles.
Like what?
Rhythm, rhyme, vivid imagery, structure.
So it wasn't just about making the poems sound good.
It was also about making them memorable.
Makes sense.
And those principles, we still use them today.
Yeah, we do.
It's much easier to remember a song than a random list of words.
Totally.
And even after writing was invented, mnemonics didn't disappear.
They didn't.
No. Scholars used them, especially those elaborate memory palaces.
To organize and retrieve all that information.
Exactly.
I mean, think about it. Some of those scholars memorized thousands of legal points, tons of classical texts.
It's mind-blowing.
Right, and they did it using these techniques.
It shows you what's possible.
I can barely remember what I had for lunch yesterday.
Ah, I hear you.
But it's fascinating to think that they saw memory training as more than just memorization.
Right, it was about wisdom, eloquence,
They believed a well-trained memory was essential for, like, everything.
effective communication, critical thinking, even moral reasoning.
It's a far cry from how we view memory today, isn't it?
It is.
It's like we've outsourced our memory to Google.
To our smartphones.
Exactly.
And that brings us to another big theme in the book,
Which is?
the impact of technology on memory.
Okay, yeah, that's a big word.
We live in a world where information is constantly at our fingertips.
And we're bombarded with new information all the time.
Nonstop. It's overwhelming.
It really is. Even with a good memory, it's hard to keep up.
Right, and then the book introduces this idea of life logging,
Life logging. What's that?
where people use cameras and recorders to capture every detail of their lives.
Wow, like everything.
Pretty much.
So it's like having a perfect external memory.
Yeah, you could say that.
But doesn't that make you wonder?
What?
If we're constantly recording everything, does that affect our own internal memories?
That's one of the big questions the book raises.
It's like, do we become less reliant on our own memory because we know we have this external backup?
Exactly.
It's a fascinating but kind of scary thought, right?
It is.
Because it makes you question what memory even is.
And what it means to remember something.
Right.
And the book profiles this guy, Gordon Bell.
Who's that?
He's a pioneer in life logging.
So he actually does this.
Yeah, he uses technology to capture his whole life, emails, conversations, everything.
Wow. What's that like?
Well, the book gives us a glimpse into his world.
Ah,
It's both fascinating and a bit unsettling.
I can
It
imagine.
makes you think about the future of memory.
A future where our biological and digital memories might merge.
It's a possibility.
Okay, so we've got ancient memory palaces, modern neuroscience, the rise of life logging.
It's a lot to take in.
It really is.
Yeah.
But it all comes back to this question: what is the true potential of human memory?
And the book throws in another twist with the story of Daniel Tammet.
Okay, who's that?
He's a savant with these extraordinary memory abilities, almost like he defies all the rules we've been talking about.
Mm-hmm. It's getting interesting.
It is.
Tell me more about this Tammet guy.
All right, so Daniel Tammet is this savant with, like, incredible memory abilities. He's almost like a challenge to everything we've been talking about.
Wait, a savant? Like Rain Man kind of savant?
Well, yeah, in a way.
Yeah.
He has these really remarkable cognitive abilities, but Tammet's specialty is numbers.
Numbers. Okay.
Yeah, he experiences them in a totally different way, like his shapes, colors, and textures. It's called synesthesia.
Synesthesia.
And,
That's where the senses get all mixed up, right?
Exactly. And in Tammet's case, it plays a huge role in his memory.
Wait, so it's like he sees numbers as this, I don't know, vibrant landscape or something?
Yeah, kind of. Instead of just cold, hard digits, he's got this whole sensory experience going on.
And that helps him memorize them.
Oh, yeah, big time. Like, he memorized pi to over 22,000 digits.
Hold up, 22,000? That's insane. Even with a memory palace, that's got to be tough.
It is, and that's why Tammet's case is so interesting.
So is it nature and nurture? Is he just wired differently?
That's what Foer wants to know, too.
Yeah,
So he starts digging deeper into Tammet's claims.
like a good journalist.
Exactly. And what he finds is, well, there might be more to the story.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What did he find?
Some inconsistencies in Tammet's accounts, little things that suggest maybe his memory feats aren't as effortless as they seem.
So maybe he's using techniques even subconsciously.
That's a possibility.
Look at the memory palace stuff.
It's hard to say for sure, but it makes you wonder if even a savant, someone who seems so different, might be tapping into similar principles.
That's a really interesting point. It challenges the whole idea of like innate talent versus learned skills.
Right, and the book leaves that question open.
Uh,
It makes you think about the nature of genius and how much of it comes down to, well, practice.
okay, so now I'm really curious about Foer's own experience training for the U.S. Memory Championship.
Oh, yeah, that's a great part of the book.
Tell me everything.
Well, he starts out as a total novice, right?
Yeah.
Average memory, no special abilities.
And he actually becomes the U.S. Memory Champion.
He does. In just a year.
Wait, what?
A year?
Yeah, it's kind of mind-blowing.
So he went from forgetting where his keys are to, like, memorizing decks of cards in seconds.
Okay, I officially need his training regimen.
It's all in the book, but it wasn't easy for him.
I bet.
He describes hitting these walls, feeling overwhelmed, wanting to quit.
So it wasn't all, like, instant success and glory?
Not at all. There were struggles, frustration, doubt.
That makes it even more impressive, honestly. Because he pushed through all that.
He did, and it shows that with deliberate practice, anyone can achieve amazing things.
All right, I'm feeling inspired. But let's get back to the techniques themselves.
Sure.
We talked about memory palaces and chunking.
Yeah.
What else is in the memory champion's toolbox?
Well, there's a whole range of techniques, but one Foer focuses on is the major system.
The Mater system. Okay, that sounds intense.
It is a bit complex, but it's basically a way to convert numbers into images.
Wait, how does that work?
So each digit gets assigned a consonant sound,
Uh.
and then you use those sounds to create words and images.
So, like, instead of remembering the number 325, I could picture I don't know, a cat wearing a hat.
Exactly. The weirder, the better.
Because it's more memorable.
Right. The major system lets you turn long strings of numbers into, like, these crazy stories in your head.
It's like hacking your brain with creativity.
That's a great way to put it.
And it's not just for numbers, right?
Nope, you can use it for names, facts, dates, anything.
Okay, so we've got the techniques, but what about the mental game? Foer must have faced some mental hurdles during his training, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. One of the big things he talks about is attention and focus.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's not enough to just, like, passively try to memorize something.
Right, you have to actively engage with the information, find ways to make it meaningful.
So it's not mindless repetition.
Nope, it's mindful engagement.
Like the difference between just listening to a lecture and actually participating in a discussion.
Exactly. You remember so much more when you're actively involved.
Okay, but focusing is hard. Our brains are constantly distracted.
All right.
Did Foer, like, lock himself in a sensory deprivation tank or something?
Uh-huh. No.
Yeah.
But he does talk about finding the right environment for focus.
So, like, a quiet library.
Yeah, or a park bench, or even just a corner of your room.
Somewhere you can minimize distractions.
Exactly.
But even with a perfect environment, our minds still wander.
That's where mindfulness comes in.
Mindfulness.
Yeah, like meditation.
Really?
It can help train your mind to stay present and focused, which is crucial for memory.
So it's not just about training your memory, it's about training your mind as a whole.
That's a big takeaway from the book, yeah.
And it connects to this bigger idea that Foer explores,
Yeah.
the relationship between memory and identity.
Oh, yeah, that's a deep one.
How so?
Well, our memories aren't just these isolated facts and figures, right?
Right?
They form the narrative of our
The
lives.
stories we tell ourselves and others about who we are.
Exactly. And that raises some really interesting questions about the reliability of memory.
Wait, what? You're saying our memories aren't always accurate?
That's what the book gets into.
Hold on, are you trying to tell me that embarrassing moment I remember from high school might not have even happened?
Uh-huh. I'm not saying that specifically.
Yep. Okay, good.
But the point is, our memories are constantly being shaped and reshaped by our experiences, our emotions, our beliefs.
So it's not like a perfect recording of the
No,
past.
it's much more fluid and subjective than that.
That's kind of unsettling, actually. How do we know what to trust?
That's the challenge. And Foer encourages us to be critical of our own memories, to consider different perspectives.
Because even our most cherished memories could be flawed.
It's a possibility, and recognizing that is the first step towards understanding how memory really works.
Okay, so it's not just about remembering more, it's about remembering wisely.
Exactly. And that's where the book's exploration of the history of memory becomes even more relevant.
Right, we talked about how memory was so important in oral cultures,
Yeah.
and how those Renaissance scholars used those elaborate memory palaces.
Right. They saw memory as a path to wisdom and eloquence.
But things started to change, right?
Yeah, with the printing press, indexing, all these external memory systems.
It's like we went from having to remember everything ourselves to knowing where to find the information.
Exactly. And that shift had a huge impact on how we learn, how we think.
It makes you wonder if we've lost something in the process.
Like, have we become too reliant on these external systems?
And are we sacrificing our own internal abilities?
Those are big questions, and the book doesn't shy away from them.
And they're even more relevant today, right?
Absolutely. In the digital age.
We have access to more information than ever before, but are we actually remembering more?
Are we becoming shallower thinkers because we don't have to rely on our own memory as much? It's a complex issue.
It really is.
But Foer's book makes us think about these questions, about the role of memory in our lives, about the balance between internal and external memory systems.
It's like he's saying, hey, let's not forget the power of our own minds, even in this world of technology.
Exactly. And finding that balance is crucial.
Speaking of technology, let's circle back to life logging for a second. We talked about how it could impact our own memories, but what about the bigger picture, like the societal implications?
Oh yeah, there are definitely ethical concerns.
Privacy issues.
For sure. The book talks about the potential downsides of having our lives constantly recorded, the risks of data breaches, even the possibility of memory manipulation.
Memory manipulation. That sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie.
It might seem that way, but it's not as far-fetched as you think.
Really?
Yeah, there are already technologies that can alter memories.
Wow. So as life logging becomes more common, those ethical concerns will just keep growing.
Exactly, and that's why Foer's message is so important.
Which is?
To reclaim our memory, to be mindful, to understand the power of our own brains.
It's not just about memorizing facts, it's about something much deeper.
It's about understanding ourselves, our experiences, our place in the world.
And Moonwalking with Einstein gives us the tools to do that.
It does. It's a reminder that memory isn't just about the past.
It's about the present, the future.
It's about how we learn, how we connect, how we create meaning.
And Foer shows us that even in this digital age, we can reclaim our memory, sharpen our minds.
We can unlock the potential that's already within us.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm left with this sense of, I don't know, awe and possibility.
I know what you mean.
Awe at what the human brain can do and possibility for what we can achieve.
And the biggest takeaway, I think,
Yeah.
is that memory isn't fixed. It's a skill you can train and strengthen. It's never too late to start investing in your memory, to be more mindful, to embrace the power of remembering.
So if we can train our brains to remember pi to 22,000 digits, imagine what else is possible.
Exactly. What knowledge do you want to master?
What experiences do you want to preserve? What stories do you want to share?
The power is in your hands.
Until next time, keep those memories sharp and never stop exploring the amazing world of your own mind. It's like he's giving us permission to believe in ourselves.
Yeah, to see that we're capable of more than we think.
And he doesn't just tell us, he shows us.
Right, through his own journey.
He's like, come on, let's explore this crazy world of memory together. You might surprise yourself.
And that's what makes this whole thing so fascinating.
Yeah, it's not about becoming some memory superhero.
It's about understanding our own minds.
Using that knowledge to, I don't know, live better.
More fully.
Yeah, exactly. It's less about memorizing random stuff and more about remembering what actually matters.
The things that make us who we are.
The people, the experiences, the stories.
And Moonwalking with Einstein gives us the tools to do that.
It's a reminder that memory isn't just about the past.
It's about now, about the future.
About how we learn, how we connect, how we make sense of the world.
And Foer shows us that even in this age of information overload and distractions, we can reclaim our memory.
We can sharpen our minds.
Unlock that potential we all have.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm left with this feeling of, I don't know, it's hard to describe.
Yeah, it's
Like
a call.
awe mixed with possibility.
Awe, the power of the brain, possibility for what we can do with it.
Exactly. And I think the most important thing to take away from Moonwalking with Einstein is this: memory.
Ah.
It's not fixed. It's like a muscle you can train and strengthen. It's never too late to start, to be more mindful, to embrace the power of remembering.
So if we can train our brains to memorize pi to 22,000 digits,
Imagine what else we can do.
what knowledge can we master? What experiences can we hold on to? What stories can we share?
It's all there waiting to be discovered.
Until next time, keep those memories sharp and keep exploring the amazing world of your own mind.